Good morning, Chairman and members. My name is Luke Metzger. I'm the Director of Environment in Texas. We're a nonprofit, citizen-funded advocate for clean air, clean water, and open spaces. And the drought has really underscored that we can't continue with business as usual when it comes to our water future. And as we plan our response to the drought and plan our water resources and needs, it's critical that we pursue a balanced solution that includes maximizing efficiency of our water use, as well as making sure we're leaving water behind in our rivers and our aquifers to support water needs for the ecosystems. And also urge caution as we are developing some of the supply side projects that are in the state water plan, because they come not without some environmental consequences. So for example, the Marvin Nichols Reservoir would flood 30,000 acres of increasingly rare bottomland forest. Diversion of water from our rivers can impact freshwater flows to our estuaries, which are breeding grounds for our fish and birds. And even desalination projects can result in waste in the form of brine and are very energy intensive, which adds to the strain of our already overburdened electric grid and increases water use and air pollution. In addition, many of these projects are very expensive, often several times more costly than conservation, and that's even before you factor in the cost of treatment, which can almost double the cost again. And we also need to look to the past in terms of our planning. In 1968, the State Water Plan predicted by the year 2020 we would need 32 million acre-feet of water. Of course, it's almost 2020 now, and we're only using about 18 million acre-feet. And so it's critical that we're planning for the next 50 years. We're flexible, and we're careful not to burden Texas of the future with huge debt for projects we might not need. So it's critical then for both the environment and the economy that we are exhausting our conservation and efficiency potential first before we build some of these projects. And the good news is we have vast reserves of untapped water conservation potential and great models here in Texas to look to as we're planning. So we heard last week, of course, San Antonio talk about their success story of growing by more than 65% while using the same amount of water. Other cities can follow that model through programs to encourage drought-resistant landscaping or water-efficient toilets. We also, Senator Hager, LCRA has seen a lot of success with the program to laser level rice fields. More than 3 billion gallons of water saved thanks to HB 1437 passed in 1999. And of course, in West Texas, we've seen the High Plains Water District, their metering program could cut water use on farms by 10 to 20%, a very cost-effective program. Lots of great potential further to save water by lining irrigation canals, brush removal, and improving irrigation technologies and practices. And then thanks in part to SB 20 by you, Chairman Frazier, we now generate 9% of our electricity from wind power, which that saves billions of gallons of water that would otherwise be used to cool fossil fuel or nuclear plants. We have potential to save even more water through expanded use of renewable energy and energy efficiency, and by investigating the potential of dry cooling for new power plants. I'm also glad you've highlighted the need to reduce water use in oil and gas drilling, Chairman Frazier. Requiring recycling and reuse of frack water or use of brackish water could again save billions of gallons of water. So achieving our water conservation potential is going to require a mix of standards, incentives, and better planning. The State Water Plan estimates that 34% of our future water needs will come from conservation and reuse. We encourage this committee to set aside an equal amount of the funding for conservation and reuse of 34%. Then you add on top of that the potential to save water from leaking water mains. The Water Development Board estimates we lose as much water through leaking water mains to meet the needs of as many as 2.7 million Texans every year. Finally, it's critical that we set aside some money to keep water in our rivers, so purchasing water rights to make sure that our wildlife and recreation economies that depend on our rivers are protected. And then in conclusion, just want to encourage the committee, as you're considering a prioritization process for the Water Development Board, to include consideration of environmental factors, rewarding projects that have the lowest environmental impact, and rewarding utilities that have made a commitment to conservation first. So they should be at the front of the line for any new funding. Thank you.
Luke, my only observation is that I think you realize that we're one of the leaders in the nation in working on conservation programs. We've done a good job. I guess my comment is that we've done a lot of good. You highlight start with the bad and then go to the good. I think we need to make sure we're recognizing the fact that we're doing a lot of things you're talking about moving forward,
right.
But we also recognize with the growth of Texas, probably conservation is we can't get all the way there, and we're going to have to develop new water sources, i.e. building reservoirs and desal pumps.
Right, and that's why the prioritization process will be really critical to make sure that we are exhausting the conservation first. We'd also like the Water Development Boards to do a technical feasibility study to really see how much potential for conservation is there. We only have a limited idea right now from the regional planning process. We haven't really done a 60,000-foot view to see how much we could save water. The PUC a few years ago hired Itron to look at the technical feasibility for energy efficiency in our electric grid, and we were able to determine just what really is possible. We'd like to see a similar process on water conservation as well.
Thank you.